If this is your first time watching, I'm Chris, this is Rocco, and today we're going to be talking about all the different types of RVs. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video. I went to the Brooksville Raid this weekend, which is a Civil War reenactment here in Florida, and it was their 40th anniversary. It was a pretty good one. And also there was a convention at the campground we were staying at called HangCon, which was a bunch of hammock camping folks living out of hammocks, which was a pretty neat thing to see, going from me in a fifth wheel and my comforts to the bare minimums, literally living out of a hammock in a car and traveling around. So it was pretty cool to see. Now there's a wide variety of RVs, everything from pop-ups and teardrops all the way up to 40-plus foot Class A motorhomes and everything in between. So today we're going to talk about all those different RVs, and what might be best for you is different than what's best for me and different than what might be best for your neighbor. So let's get into it. Generally speaking, there's two categories of RVs. You have drivable motorhomes and you have towable rigs or trailers, whatever you want to call them. So let's talk about each one. Okay, so let's start big and go small. The biggest RV out there would be your Class A motorhomes. They can range anywhere from 30 feet all the way up to more than 40 feet easily. Now, because of their size and their weight, they're also usually, generally speaking, the worst miles per gallon out of any other of the drivable RVs. They are set up very similar to a fifth wheel inside because they have a very, very large living space, usually with slides. Generally speaking, they have at least one bathroom, sometimes two, multiple holding tanks for both gray and black water, so you can be self-sustaining. Also your freshwater tank, generally speaking. They have generators built into them, usually, not all the time. Sometimes you have to get that installed after the fact, but a lot of them are generator ready or have generators built into them. And Class A's drive like a tour bus, where you're sitting up to near that front windshield and you're really high up off the ground. So if you're not comfortable driving like that, then you might want to consider looking into a Class C. Now let's talk about Class C motorhomes. They're very similar, except for instead of driving like a large tour bus, they drive like a truck, because generally speaking, they have a truck style front end. You're sitting at about the same height of a normal pickup truck, or sometimes a diesel pickup truck, a little bit bigger. They get a little bit better gas mileage than your Class A motorhomes, but not always. So again, it just depends on the rig. You can have a 38-foot Class C and a 30-foot Class A, and you might get some better gas mileage out of that Class A that's a little bit smaller. So it's not always the case, so take that with a grain of salt. So aside from driving like a truck and having a little bit better fuel economy than a Class A motorhome, again, the same type of stuff applies inside. Usually they have slides. They're fully self-sustaining with tanks, fresh water, gray water, black water. Sometimes they have generators. Sometimes you have to have your own generator. You can usually add solar to them, just like you can add solar to any RV. The other type of drivable motorhome would be Class B, or some people just straight up call them vans, because that's what a Class B is generally just a van, larger extended vans. Some people just take a Ford Windstar and add an air conditioner to it with a mattress, and boom, you got a Class B motorhome. So they come in a very wide range of styles, but you get the best fuel economy out of any of the other drivable rigs. They're much smaller and lighter, so usually you can go way farther down the beaten path than you could ever with a Class A or even a Class C. So if you really want to get off-grid and go exploring and just be in nature, a Class B might be a great option for you, because you can really go off-grid, especially with the right kind of modifications. Now, Class Bs, depending on the build and depending on how it is, some of them are fully self-sustaining, meaning toilets, showers, tanks, a generator or solar or something like that. And others don't have any of those amenities at all. They're literally just a mattress with air conditioning if you're lucky. It just depends. So there's a very wide variety of Class Bs, just because you can consider any van a Class B if you want to live out of it. Let's talk about fifth wheels and all the other towable trailers. So a fifth wheel is obviously the largest of the towable style trailers, and you need a good tow rig for your specific trailer. Depending on the weight and the size of it, you might need a bigger or smaller truck, or you don't need a smaller truck, but you can get away with a smaller truck. So it just depends. You really got to pay attention to that. Fifth wheel, in my opinion, has the best maneuverability of all the travel trailers, mainly because the pivot point where the actual hitch is at is above that rear axle, essentially making it a fifth wheel on the back of your truck. That's why they got their name like that, because the pivot point is right above that rear axle with your other rear tires. So you can turn them on a lot sharper of an angle than you could a bumper pull travel trailer or a pop-up. So keep that in mind when you're considering. Now, fifth wheels come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes, anywhere from a single slide to I've seen 6, 7 slides on fifth wheels. So it just depends. They're also, generally kind of broken up in two main categories in terms of fifth wheels. You have toy haulers and you have fifth wheels, which is just the normal living space rig. So with toy haulers, usually they have a generator or they're generator ready. They have a garage in the back for all your toys, whether that's a motorcycle or a golf cart, all sorts of different stuff you can put back there. But they also usually have very good use of that space. There's generally a second bathroom in that rear area. Usually the washer dryer hookup is in that rear area, as well as there's usually some form of power bunks or a bunking system back there that you can have up out of the way or bring it down to have multiple people sleeping with you if you have a bunch of kids and whatnot. Some people use toy haulers as an office. They don't have a toy, they just use that back area to set up as a permanent office. So it just depends on your needs there. Now, with toy haulers and regular fifth wheels, talk about the interior. They're just as comfortable, if not more comfortable, than a Class A motorhome. The only difference is you have to get out of a fifth wheel to get in your tow vehicle versus a motorhome. You just go right from your bed to the driver's seat and you can be on the road. So they have all the same amenities inside, usually a very nice sized kitchen, a bathroom, sometimes two, multiple holding tanks for both your fresh water and your gray and black water, so you can be off the grid for as long as you'd like, for your water needs. Again, you can either have a generator with you, or some of them are generator ready, where you can have, there's built-in generators, which is awesome, just like a Class A motorhome. Now, what's really nice about fifth wheels and travel trailers is you do need a tow rig, you do need a truck to move it, but that's just it. No matter what, you're always going to have that truck with you wherever you take that trailer. So when you get to a certain location, you can drop the trailer and you always have your truck. With a motorhome, if you don't have some tow rig in the back, whether like a Jeep or a truck in the back that you're pulling with your motorhome, you don't have a vehicle to get around town in. So people will still spend money on a tow vehicle or have a tow vehicle that they bring with them in a motorhome. And also, one really nice aspect of fifth wheels, in my opinion, is if something were to happen to my truck, I can leave the fifth wheel wherever it's at and go get that truck fixed. Or if it needs to be towed, it's pretty easy to tow a truck around, versus if a Class A has an engine problem, you're not just moving the engine or the truck, you're moving the entire house. That's a lot of rig that someone has to come pick up and move if you have an engine problem. So usually you're either stuck doing mobile techs and mobile mechanics to come get it fixed at your house, or you're spending quite a bit of money getting it towed to a service location. So keep that in mind when you're looking at different rigs as well. All right, next let's talk about travel trailers, which are very similar to fifth wheels, except for being up high and really heavy. They're much lower to the ground because they're being pulled at the bumper versus up above that hitch on the in the bed of your truck. So travel trailers are usually lighter. They're not necessarily smaller, because you can have 38-foot travel trailers, but generally speaking, they come in a lot smaller variety because of their layouts. They just have smaller setups than fifth wheels. You can get them pretty small. Also with travel trailers, some of them don't have slides at all, and they're just permanently set up so you can park somewhere and just walk right in and start using whatever you're using. With a fifth wheel or anything that has slides, I shouldn't say that, we're talking about travel trailers right now. So if a travel trailer does have slides and you park it, now that slide is in, and you either are limited on space or you have to open it in order to get around your travel trailer. Now, travel trailers, just like fifth wheels, come in a very wide variety of styles, from toy haulers to regular. You got bunkhouse style units to just a nice living room or a nicer kitchen. It just depends on your needs, and that's why if you're looking at any of these types of rigs, I really recommend getting yourself out to either some RV shows or just going to a dealership on the weekend when they have all the rigs open. You can just go browse all the floor plans, because every floor plan is different. Even if you decide, yep, I want a travel trailer, I know that's what I want because that's what I'm comfortable with, then you still have 100 different floor plans from 100 different manufacturers to choose from. So you really just got to get in them and feel them out. So you'll see some of them that have, you walk right in and you got the very small bedroom right there, or instead of a bedroom you might have a couch that folds out and then the bedroom's in the back of the rig. Some of them have a really small, tight kitchen because you don't do a lot of cooking. Others have really big kitchens with islands that are very comfortable for cooking. It just depends on what your needs are. Now, speaking about travel trailers and their lighter weight, same thing with a fifth wheel. You need the right size truck for the right size rig. So with a travel trailer, you can generally have a smaller truck because they're lighter and more versatile than a fifth wheel is. So you can have a standard V8 F-150 or regular Chevy Silverado, and it'll pull a lot of the trailers no problem. Versus if you have a fifth wheel, generally speaking, you either need a 2,500, 3/4 ton truck or a 1 ton truck with a nice big motor to pull that thing around safely. So keep all that in mind whenever you're choosing your style rig. Okay, so the next size down from a travel trailer, generally speaking, is going to be either a truck bed camper or your general pop-up or teardrop style campers. And those all come in a very wide variety. I've seen truck campers that have tanks in them and they have showers in them, and you're literally staying in the bed of your truck, technically taking a shower. And others are much smaller and they literally just have a bed and maybe a mini fridge or something in them. So again, your camping needs are what's going to affect that decision. So with a truck bed camper, it goes in the bed of your truck. That's it. You're driving your truck around, so you can go pretty far off grid, kind of like you could in a Class B van, because you're using your truck to get around and you're not worrying about towing anything behind you. It's right in the bed of your truck. So keep that in mind depending on how you want to camp. Now with teardrops and pop-ups, usually they're much smaller, especially the teardrops. Teardrop trailers sometimes might just be a couch that folds into a bed. Some of them are literally just a mattress with a covering over it and an air conditioner with some plugs on the wall, so you have a place to sleep at night. It's essentially really glorified tent camping, in my opinion. But with that, you can get around all over the place. You can go way off-road with those things if you have the right tires on them, and you can be, traveling to places that people in a fifth wheel could never get to in order to camp. They might be able to drop their rig at a campsite and go visit it in their truck, but they won't be able to stay in some of the locations that you could in a teardrop or a pop-up, just due to sheer size and maneuverability. And speaking about pop-ups, you have a pretty good variety in pop-ups too. Some of them, now with a pop-up, you have to set it up. It's not like you can, a teardrop that you park and you're right into it. A pop-up, and again, just like all the other ones, some of them do have tanks, some don't have tanks, some have sinks and toilets, some don't have anything. It just depends on the floor plan. So again, talking about pop-ups, some of them have where the ends fold out and the top goes up and you have a nice big living space with 2 queen beds. Others fold out 3 different ways, and some just have where one piece folds out and it's just one bed with a nice couch. So it just depends on what your needs are and what you're looking for out of a rig. So just keep all that stuff in mind when you're making your decision. Now, I know we're talking a lot about different style RVs and travel trailers and whatnot, but keep in mind there's also a lot of people that like to live full-time in a tent. You can take a tent or a hammock literally anywhere you can go, and if you want the best miles per gallon, you could easily drive a Toyota Prius across this beautiful country, see all these amazing sights, staying at national parks, just staying right out of your tent. You can chase 70-degree weather all year round if you wanted to, and live comfortably out of a tent in 70-degree weather. So it just depends on your needs out of a camper. Are you looking to take this thing on the weekends with your family? Are you looking to travel full-time? Are you looking to live in it full-time while you're still working? Is this your retirement plan? Are you just doing this for a summer trip? Some people use campers and RVs for NASCAR events or for music festivals or for Boy Scouting. It just depends on what your needs are out of a rig is what's going to help determine what you want to end up having in the end. So I talked to a couple people this weekend while I was camping with my nephews, and I met a couple individuals. One that has a travel trailer, which we're going to show you his interview here in a second, and another one that had a pop-up, which I'll show you his interview as well. Now, I also talked to a nice gentleman, older guy, who had a Class A. He just didn't feel comfortable talking on camera. Now, he said that he loves his Class A for a couple reasons. First being, he used to have a travel trailer, and he said he just could not back it up. He tried for years to figure out how backing up works and turning your wheel one way and the back end goes the other, and he just couldn't get it. His brain couldn't quite process that method. So that might be your easy way of deciding, I'm going to go into a drivable coach. Whether it's a Class B, C, or A is still dependent, but that could eliminate all trailers generally, just because you don't want to back the thing up because you don't like to, or you don't know how to, or you're afraid to. And that's perfectly fine. That's why they have those other rigs as well. The other thing he said about his Class A that he loves is he really likes the fact that he can get out of his bed, pull the slides in from inside, get right in the driver's seat, and drive on off. So he never gets out of the rig to do anything if he needs to. Now, obviously, if he has power hooked up and water hooked up, stuff like that, obviously you have to get out of your rig to take care of that kind of thing. But if you're a solo traveler and your safety is your main concern, and you're doing a lot of boondocking where you're just parking for the night, going to sleep, if you feel uncomfortable, whether it's because you're at a campsite and you see a bear and you just want to get out of there, or you might see, what you suspect to be some kind of bad person that you don't feel comfortable being around, and you don't want to get out of your rig. In a fifth wheel, you have to get out of the rig in order to get into your tow vehicle. Regardless if it's still hooked up or not, you have to exit it in order to get into your drivable vehicle. With any of the drivable motorhomes, that's not the case. You can go right from bed to driver's seat and take off down the highway, no problem at all.
Sure. This is a 2015 Puma Canyon Cat 27-foot travel trailer. Between the two of us, we have 4 kids, and we have a very large dog, so we jokingly call this our 27-foot kennel because we would rather be in hammocks or tents. We needed enough room. It'll sleep 6, and that's right about what we needed. Because I already had an F-150, and I needed something I could tow with that. I really didn't want to buy another truck. This is paid for. The truck's paid for. We didn't want another payment. So a lot of it was size related. And ironically, whenever we started talking about full-time, and when we bought this, we started looking at 40-plus foot fifth wheels. And her and I went on a weekend. The kids were at Scouts or doing their thing for the weekend, and we just decided to take an overnight ourselves. And Amy happened to be sitting there. We were just talking and watching TV and whatnot. And she said, I think this is big enough. So we decided just to rehab this because it'll just be her and I and the dog when we hit the road. And the other part is paid for, like I already said. So that was part of it too. We're going to rehab this and then maybe start looking at a slightly longer travel trailer or something in the future with a little more headspace, a little higher roof in it. But it's just enough space. We like to be outside. We'd rather be out here with a fire going or whatever rather than sitting inside. So we, if it gets too big, we're going to feel like we want to be inside, and that's not really what we want. So we just need a place to sleep and some air conditioning when it gets hot outside.
Perfect.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. So it's pretty much a cave right now. Right behind you there is I put a queen size mattress. It had an RV queen, and I put a memory foam queen in there. Like I said, the cabinets, the fronts are off. They're not painted yet. We just painted the cabinets, and I put the shelves in there last weekend. And then the cabinets out here, same thing. We just painted the cabinets, and the doors are still off that need painted, so I apologize. And we just painted this white. When we got this, pretty much everything but the ceiling was brown, including the floor, and it was really, really dark in here. So customized a little bit with the vinyl floor, some paint, put the tile backsplash in, and we're kind of slowly working towards just getting it a little brighter and a little more livable in here, just so it's not as dark. And then, like I said, it's a dual bunk in the back. Eventually what I'm going to do is this door and this wall is going to come out, and this is going to come straight across and have a sliding door, and that'll be a closet. And then we'll have the bath. There'll be a little bit more room in the bathroom without the 45-degree door in here.
Very nice. And do you guys do a lot more cooking inside the rig or outside?
Really probably 50-50. I like a good Dutch oven meal, so we'll light up some charcoal and put a Dutch oven outside. About 50-50, really. We don't use the microwave that much, believe it or not.
Awesome.
But it's convenient to have when you need it.
Perfect.
All right, so it's a 84 Coleman Shenandoah pop-up camper. I am now the third owner of this camper. The original, or the second owner, has owned it since '86. And that's about all I know about it at this time.
Okay, so tell me about the camper.
Again, it's a 84 Coleman Shenandoah pop-up. It sleeps 6, and it was a little gift to me from a family friend who has outgrown it. They're into full camping, so they decided to give this to me because I put it to good use.
Awesome. And you just recently got this, correct?
I got this Wednesday, and it is now Saturday, and this is the first time using it for camping.
Awesome. And what kind of plans do you have for the camper? Are you going to do some remodeling on it?
Yeah, and I'm trying to decide if I just want to dress it up or if I want to go back full retro on it and take it to its original condition.
Very nice. And what kind of camping do you like to do with it?
I do two kinds. I camp with scouts. I don't really want to use this for scouting, but my family, we like to camp, and I would like to start traveling the U.S. and going to some of the national parks and state parks throughout our country, checking
Nice.
everything out.
And you want to do national parks with this trailer?
With this trailer, yes.
Nice. And is one of the bigger reasons you have this and want to stay with this just for the simple fact that you got it for free, or would you prefer like a travel trailer or a larger rig?
I prefer the pop-up because I drive a Nissan Frontier, and I like the aerodynamics, what there is of a pop-up, that I just don't even know what's behind me, and I can pull it with my Odyssey or my Frontier.
And you can still see behind you.
And I can see behind me.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. So this sleeps, you said, how many?
I can sleep 6.
You got 2 up there, I assume.
This folds down into a bed.
2 right there.
And then we have the bed up front.
And a bed up front. Nice. And is that a sink underneath there?
Yeah, there is a sink under here, and the stove right now is not hooked up. The owner I got it from didn't trust the gas line, so he just never cooked inside the camper.
Gotcha. But does it have a holding tank, or how big's the tank? Do you know?
I have no idea. I haven't done the research yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, awesome. Good luck with the trailer, and hope to see you out in the campgrounds.
All right. Thank you.
So as you see, there's a lot of different reasons why someone might pick a certain camper over another type, and it doesn't have to be the same thing that you're going to pick. What you're going to pick is going to be what is best for you, not what's best for me or what's best for your neighbor. And you can also change things up inside. You can do all sorts of modifications, make it your own. That's the best thing about this kind of stuff, is make it your own, do what you like, and enjoy it. Just get out there and use it. I think that's what's most important, is just to get out there and use it. One last thing, everybody, make sure you like the video, subscribe, share, comment below, let me know what you thought, and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. We'll see you next time.